going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're all well. 24 hours, well, just over 24 hours to go until Arsenal are back in action as we go head-to-head with Everton at the Emirates Stadium tomorrow night. Lots to talk about today. Press conference reaction. Hope you haven't had your lunch, people. Waffle settings is on the way from the manager. And obviously, we'll talk about the game, look ahead at a possible team that we should start tomorrow. A little bit of transfer news as well, obviously being linked with another former Manchester City player. You can see his name in the title. And Gabriel Jesus is close. He's very close to being back, people. And I'm telling you, I'm excited by that one. Like a new signing into the words of Arsene Wenger, you know. But I genuinely think Gabriel Jesus could be a game changer for us as we approach the second half of the season. Hope everyone is well. Belair said breakfast time here, 8 a.m. Ready for some waffles. Big up to you, bro. Green screen settings, man. The legends in the background, you know. Legendary green screen this morning. Another Chelsea agent, says Don. Well, we'll talk about him in more detail. Where was the intro? Did the intro not run? I don't know what's got. Do we run it back again? Do we have to go again? Run the intro again. We'll leave the intro. You've seen it enough times anyway, people. New York, Jada Kiss settings. Jada! If you're a hip-hop fan, you're with me. If you're not, then you're thinking, what the hell was that noise? But you know what it is, people. We keep it moving. What's up, said Yasser. Rory, ESR and Jesus like new signings. They're the January signings, man. The Watch said we are good unless Sterling is coming to relieve Eddie of his duties. Hope all is well, Big C. Intro music is legendary. Do you know what? I honestly don't know the name of the song. I'll get it, though. I'll let you know. Best intro on YouTube. I'll take it. Pull up selector. The intro is goated, said TH. D Black, double R. Yonkers, New York. Anyway, let's move on before it turns into a hip-hop stream. Let's talk about a couple of players on their way. Hopefully into the side, and we'll see what one of them is about in particular. But these two players, ESR and Jakub Kiwior, I think that's how you say his name, played the first 45 minutes last night. Arsenal under-21s played against Chelsea under-21s last night. We were beaten 1-0. But hey, it's not the end of the world. They can't beat us in the Premier League right now. So anyway, we keep it moving. But Smith Rowe and Kiwior played 45 minutes. It was 0-0 at half-time, so they were decent first half. Everyone's hyping Kiwior because he played some really nice long passes. And people were like, oh, his long passing is incredible. Which, listen, it looks good, you know. But it's different when you're in the Premier League and, you know, somebody like Haaland or Kane or Rashford or Firmino or Salah, somebody like that is putting you under pressure. Pressure bust pipes, as they say, people. But listen, it did look good. It definitely looked good. And him and ESR got 45 minutes. I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, ESR's been on the bench. But I feel like he's there just for show. He's not coming on. And I don't think he is fit yet. I think now probably he's getting closer to that point. After getting 45 minutes in for the under-21. So, yeah, we don't butcher the names like Robbie, man. I don't know what Robbie's calling Kiwior, but, yeah, big him up, man. Sisters, to see you, Nick. Big up yourself, people, as always. And big up Justin, who said he's going to be fighting for his son in court tomorrow, man. All the best with that one. Can he stand up to Ivan Toney and Mitrovic? We'll find out. I think we'll get to see him play next week at Sporting Lisbon. I would imagine he'd be brought in for that one. ESR fitness is PR. I think it is, because how would you have a player of that level on the bench not coming on for 2, 3, 4 games? Clearly, I think he's been there just for show, just to travel. Are you fit, bro? Yeah, exactly. Still not fit. But listen, big them up, 45 minutes each. Let's hope ESR now starts to come on, because as I said last season, he was one of our best players off the bench in terms of making that impact, scoring goals off the bench. And we need players to come off the bench and change the game for us. And Kiwior, obviously, opportunity to give Gabriel a rest in the Europa League. So let's hope those two are available sooner rather than later, people. So yeah, listen, Kiwior, as I said, there is some compilations on Twitter of his long passing. It does look very good. But as I said, it's different when you're in the Premier League and you got a beast hunting you down, you know. Big up Wayne Hennessy, who said, salute Curtis, new subscriber. Big up yourself. Welcome to the community, of course. The best community on YouTube. I'm saying it. Goated community. Big up each and every one of you, man. ESR will score more goals in Xhaka's position. I'm interested to see whether he can play in that role. I got to be honest, because I do think he could play in that role if he was given the opportunity. One more story before we quickly get into the waffle. Mustafi did look good on YouTube. I actually remember when we signed Yaya Sanogo. Never heard of him. So I did what every football fan does. Go on YouTube. Yaya Sanogo compilation. I looked and I'm like, 6 foot plus. Got a bit of pace. I saw him volleying it top corner. I saw him finessing it like Thierry Henry. I said, you know what? Yeah, tick. I'll take that. He came to Arsenal and he was a French postman. He was Postman Pat. So, yeah. You can't forget his 4 goals in the Emirates Cup. But, yeah, don't judge a player off YouTube, I think, is certainly the thing you shouldn't do. Shamak as well, scoring goals for fun in the French league. Came to Arsenal with that greasy, wet look here. And we all know how that one worked out, John. You know what I mean? So be careful on YouTube, man. Yeah, Pepe looked like a juggernaut on YouTube. He did. I do believe, though, with Pepe, there is talent there. But just didn't suit us, you know. French Mo Farah. Anyway, let's move on. A story we've spoken about before, but just going over it again. It's been put out there again. Arsenal are in talks with Granit Xhaka over a new 2-year contract extension. Sources have told Football Insider Mikel Arteta values Xhaka as a key player at Arsenal and views him as a leader in the club's dressing room. Now, I spoke about this quite a lot the other day, so I'm not going to harp on about it too much. What worries me about this contract and also the wording that's being used is a leader in the club's dressing room. I can deal with that. Him being a part of the squad, I can deal with that, to be honest. The key player is the worry for me because, as I said, we're going into the Champions League next year. And I don't want us to be in the Champions League making up the numbers. I told you, I don't want to be the 100-metre runner in lane 8 who no one's ever heard of, who finishes 8 seconds behind Usain Bolt. Yeah, I'm not trying to be that guy. I want us to compete. I want us to go far in that competition. You know, Leipzig are making the knockout stages. There are clubs in the Champions League that I think we're better than. I think it's very dangerous to go into the Champions League next season and consider Granit Xhaka a key player. A squad player, used in rotation, plenty of game time, leader in the dressing room. But a key player, a regular starter, is risky in my opinion. I think we should be signing somebody who's an upgrade on him, who can push him down the pecking order. So he is going to get a new deal. Which, as I said, his contract runs out next summer. Was there even a real need to extend the contract by 2 years? I think Arteta views him as one of his soldiers. It's one of his players that he can rely on. Managers effectively like to have managers on the pitch. People that can manage for them on the pitch. Arteta probably feels like he sees similarities in his game to what Granit Xhaka has. So it is what it is. 2-year contract extension for Granit Xhaka. And apparently, according to the report, they're going to press ahead with that one after they can hopefully get the William Saliba one dealt with. So, yeah, the agility scares me. When you look at what Madrid were doing to Liverpool on the counter-attack, you know, and things like that, that's the worry for me. That's the worry. But we'll see. We'll see. Abrea said, stop overreacting. He's a key voice. I never knew that a voice won your football matches, Abrea. I never knew that. We might as well go on X Factor and sign our January signings next year on X Factor. They can sing good, so they're a key voice. Do you think Karim Benzema cares about his voice? You think Kimmich cares about his voice, or Vinicius Junior? You think Mbappe cares about Xhaka's voice? It's all in the voice, people. It's all in the voice. I watched that program actually a few weeks ago. will.i.am, I think, is a judge on it. The Voice. You sing and they turn round. Maybe Xhaka could go on The Voice and show his leadership qualities with a microphone in his hand. Listen, we'll go along with you then. You know, Benzema and Vinicius, I'm sure they're pooping their pants about Granit Xhaka's voice next season in the Champions League. I'm sorry, people. You know me. Information and entertainment, people. Information and entertainment. Chris said overreaction, he will become a squad player, that's all. Well, key player would suggest otherwise. Listen, I'm not complaining about keeping him. He's done well this year. Squad player, no problem. But key player starting in the Champions League, that worries me. Like I said, you're bad. See, he came for you and you conquered. I thought I was being quite reasonable. I laughed. Information and entertainment. You know what happens when you make them kind of comments. But you're not fair. Granit Xhaka's in the chat now. It's all in the voice, people. It's all in the voice. Anyway, let me move on before Simon Cowell gets in the comments and tells me about his singing. Anyway, let's move on. It's lunchtime, so let's get the waffle. Coman music back in full effect, people. Every word from Mikel Arteta's pre-Everton presser. He's got that smile on his face of we've just beaten Leicester and we're flying high. He's confident. People saying I murdered the ball. That's harsh. I think it's great banter, to be fair. I'm not sure you'd get that banter on any other channel. But anyway, let's move on. Let's not do it, people. People are laughing in the comments. Now I feel bad, but the banter flies on this channel. You know how it goes. He's had his eyebrows threaded. To be fair, I see him. Let me zoom in. I mean, they look clean. Look at them eyes. They're the eyes of, listen, Pep, I'm coming for you, fella. You forgot that I knew about the financial things that you had in that drawer. Third drawer down with the padlock. You forgot that I had that key, didn't you? That spare key, Pep. They're the eyes of a man that knows the secrets. Anyway, let me zoom out. He looks real happy right now. Real happy. He's had a shave. The eyebrows have been threaded. The hair looks neat. The smile is blooming. He looks happy. He looks very happy. He's got that look of potential title-winning manager on his face. But anyway, let's move on. Wednesday sees us return to the Emirates Stadium to face Everton in the Premier League. Ahead of the game, Mikel Arteta held his pre-match press conference. Any waffle, major waffle, will be getting skipped. I know it's lunchtime. I know we're peckish. But I ain't got enough syrup to deal with the amount of waffle that you get out of these one. Coman music business. I had to zoom in. Big up Elliot. Matt said, nyamming waffles, sipping syrup, toffees and coffees with this Coman music. I had to zoom in. I had to. It was necessary, people. Right, on if Thomas Partey's fit to start. I mean, silly question. The guy's 57 years old. What do you expect? He's knackered. He's been with the grandkids all weekend. So, of course, he's not. Right, anyway, let's hear what he had to say. He hasn't trained much. I mean, would you at that age? He had a session and he will train today. It is what it is. He was out for a few weeks and he needs to get back into the rhythm. Now, I'll be honest. I don't want to read too much into it, but with what he's saying there, that makes me question whether Partey will actually start tomorrow. It is what it is, people. It is what it is. The fact he's saying he hasn't trained much, he's had a session, he will train today. Is he not going to use him? Does he start him and take him off? Or does he bring him on late? I mean, it could be Jorginho and Xhaka again. It just doesn't sound very positive in terms of him starting the game. Maybe he will bring him off with 30 minutes to go or something. I don't know. On what happened between Saliba and Gabriel at the end, I said before, this question is embarrassing. All you had to do was zoom in on the picture. The two of them were laughing at each other. It is what it is. They have to make a mountain out of a molehill, don't they? Big up Fit Stop. I'm trying to work. Big up Broads. Big up yourself, my bro. Look at that blue shirt. Blue O2 shirt on the green screen. Oh, man, listen. I used to have that shirt. I think it was Henry scored a hat-trick. Was it Roma away? I always remember him scoring a free kick in that shirt. And somehow I lost it, unless I've still got it somewhere and I can't find it. Big up Dennis, good morning from Chi-Town. Big up yourself. But anyway, he says they are a happy marriage. They love playing with each other. Pause. But they are really demanding of each other, which is good. Everything is fine. There you go. Everything is fine. There's no problem. There was never no problem. They were laughing and joking and pushing each other, man. Come on. And if he has any comments on the use of VAR, he says no. And if the Everton game is a case of revenge, it's a case of doing things better than we did when we played them a few weeks ago and earning the right to win the game. Hopefully tomorrow will be a much better than we did that day. Had to throw the pause out. Curtis probably ripped that shirt. Just say it how it is. Nah, man, no shirt ripping them days, man. I'm telling you, it was, yeah, that Newcastle. I think, do you know what? I think it was the fact. Let me speak on it. I get asked this all the time. Why'd you rip the shirt? And I honestly don't know the answer to it. It felt like the natural reaction to what I was watching on the screen. I think it was the fact that Callum Wilson's tooth was hanging out and we put in such a toothless performance. So when I seen that goal go in, I was like, this brother's scoring against us and he's going to need an emergency dentist appointment this evening to get that front tooth pushed back in. And I'm looking at centre-backs getting ruined by Callum Wilson. It was all too much. It made sense. I was probably a passion merchant at the time. But I felt dirty in that shirt. I had to get it off. But hey, it is what it is. 20 years of built-up stress. There you go. Who would have thought we'd gone from Invincibles to a guy with his tooth hanging out, knocking us out of the top 4? It was way too much. It had to come off. The shirt had to go. But anyway, let's get back to the waffle, people. On whether he has shown the players the video of the game at Goodison, he said, it's like with any opponent. We showed them what they do, what they're about, what we expect to do to try and beat them. On winning just once in 6 games against Sean Dyche. Well, you know, we eat bricks, we eat wood. This is Everton. We're going to turn Everton into the new Burnley. And, you know, Arteta, he can't deal with us. Anyway, that's enough of that. Jeez, man. I don't know how he speaks like that. But I'm sure he enjoyed that question. You've only won once in 6 games against Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche football, man. It's serious. Remember Aubameyang's own goal at the Emirates against Burnley when Xhaka got sent off, grabbing the player around the neck? That was Sean Dyche. He's a wind-up merchant, long ball. You know what I mean? It's not easy. Broad said, wait, you were right, Roma. I was thinking of the wrong game completely. Yeah, I was thinking, because you said Inter, didn't you? Inter was, we played in the red kit that day. Tooth merchant. Bricks and wood, I'm done, man. You know Sean Dyche, he definitely eats concrete for lunch. Brexit football. Oh, dear. He just said we have to improve. I'm sure he didn't enjoy that question, that's for sure. On a win giving us 60 points after 25 matches, he said, if we do it, yes, but that means nothing. We still have another 14 games to play. There's still a long run. Man said, Krishal said, man eats tarmac for breakfast. Oh, dear. I mean, listen, it's a great season so far. All these records mean very little to me unless we're lifting the title at the end of the season. As a manager, of course, he has to draw for all the positives. So 60 points after 25 matches sounds great, but I want the title. And if it's becoming more difficult to know his best 11, he says, we assess the situation every day. The fact is we have options now. We have players coming back from injury, which is crucial. Players can't maintain the same level for 10 months. It's impossible. We need to change and generate alternatives and become more unpredictable. Now, do you know what? I like the fact he's saying that, because one thing we've spoken about time after time after time is that this team was starting to become predictable. Everybody knew how he was playing. And I like the fact that Arteta over the last few weeks has changed things at times. You know, he put Tomiyasu at right back. He's put Trossard up front. He's brought Jorginho into the team. He has to understand that we have to rotate. You have to, because the worst thing you can do as a manager is completely rely on your starting 11, and then somebody gets injured and you bring in someone in from the cold. You've got to keep them interested, give them 20 minutes, keep them feeling like, listen, I can get in this team, I can make a difference, you know, because there'll be a time where you might need to turn to Fabio Vieira if Odegaard gets injured. You might need Kieran Tierney if Zinchenko gets a knock. So you have to keep the squad players involved as well. Listen, I've been impressed with Arteta this season. I know some people think I've been very harsh on Arteta on the past. I think I just say it as I see it. I felt at times he was very lucky to hang on to his job. But this season, clearly he's learned. He's starting to make substitutions a little bit quicker. And one thing I've always said with Arteta is I always felt he was a brilliant coach. I questioned his man management. And I think to be an elite manager, you've got to have both of those qualities. Can you coach players? Can you manage people? They are two very different qualities. And I think this year you're seeing an improvement in his man management because I think he has a squad of players that he finds it easier to connect with. Maybe he found it difficult to manage people like Guendouzi, Mesut Ozil, Aubameyang, you know, people like that, where I think he's got a dressing room now that he can probably, maybe not control, but he can certainly get his message across a lot easier, you know. So Alex, yeah, I mean, I heard from a lot of people, he often didn't take training at Man United, Ferguson. The coaches took training, Mike Phelan, Steve McLaren, and Fergie was just man management and the tactics. You know, didn't take the training sessions. PG said man management still needs improvements. It does, but it's definitely improving. My biggest question mark next with Mikel Arteta is, can you handle superstars? Arsenal are a club very much that we tend to try and create a superstar. But I think there needs to be a time where Arsenal go and sign the next Alexis Sanchez, Cesc Fabregas, Aubameyang, you know, all these top players that we've had. I think there's going to have to be a time where we go and sign somebody. And then it will be, can Arteta manage a player with that big ego, that big personality? You know, that's the next question mark for me with him. But definitely improving. And it's good that he's struggling to pick his best 11 because we haven't even had alternatives in the past. On the preparation for facing Everton, he said, obviously with Sean, it's quite clear what he's done and where the success they've had is coming from. Tomorrow we'll prepare it in a game in an appropriate way and similar to the away match. But with every manager, it's the same. We have to look at certain matches, what they do and the tactics to beat them, as well as the same mentality we demand in the game. Joe said, big up Curtis, are you going to cop the new merch if we win against Everton? Shameless settings. Nah, because you know what? I'm expecting us to beat Everton. I tend to go near merch when we get a victory that surprises me or overly hypes me up. Beating Everton doesn't require next day delivery, I'm afraid. So yeah, maybe a few weeks and then, you know, if things are going well. The closer we get to that title, like I said, the more I'm going to look like Ty in the video, with the headphones and the cufflinks and all the merch. We just go and clean out the armoury one day. I'll just turn up with a lorry and just say chuck it all in the back if we win the league. On whether he misses the post-match tradition of having a drink with the opposition manager. Dear me, I tell you what, man. Some of these questions. African Giant said, Mason Mount to Arsenal in the summer for 50 mil. Bro, keep him. Keep him. He's not a bad player. I know I take the mick out of him and I call him pace and pound and all that, but I don't want him. I've slandered him that much that if he came to Arsenal, I'd be in a very difficult position considering I'm consistently saying he's overrated. Do you know what? I think he'll go to Liverpool. He's being linked with Liverpool. He can press from the front. I think Klopp would like Mason Mount. I think he could turn him into a good player. So big up African Giant. As I always say, people, these guys, these journalists, they go to university. They get in thousands of pounds of debt. They do work experience. They apply for jobs. They end up working for major newspapers, big websites, you know, major companies. And they go into a press conference with a manager and they say, do you miss having a drink after the game? I mean, ask him that on WhatsApp. Yeah, Mikel, do you miss having a pint with Sean Dyche after the game? Like, what do you want? What does he? What's he gonna say? He said, I haven't had an opportunity because after I joined, there was COVID and catalyst for change. Maybe we can talk about it between us. Yeah, cheers. All right, they'll have a chat between them. Next question. All right, Mikel, what do you like drinking after the game? Do you like a red wine, a little Chardonnay? Do you like a little rosé? Do you put a bit of lemonade in your wine? Do you like a little white wine, a little Sauvignon Blanc? Or do you just like a beer? Do you like a red stripe? Do you like a Guinness? I'm drinking rum, I'm Red Bull, and I see him at my heart. Like, what kind of question is this? They're stealing a living at this point. I'm telling you, they're nicking a living. Why don't you ask him about Prime? What's your favourite Prime, Mikel? Do you like that blue raspberry, or you into that Meta Moon? What's your favourite, Mikel? Such important questions as we play Everton tomorrow. What's your drink of choice? But anyway, let's move on. Vital questions on how we got the team back on form. He said, we talked about the boxers. We've been much more efficient in both boxers. We cut out individual errors that cost us certain points in that period. The opponents play and sometimes the opponents deserve to get something out of the game. Remember against Man City, and he said we were the best team on the pitch, just not in both boxes. And I thought that was a wild statement. But I like Big C in this naughty. Bro, I'm telling you, they're just time wasting at this point. Do you know what I mean? It's wild. Let's find out what his favourite Prime is, man. What do you like, people? You like that blue raz? You like that new KSI flavour? What do you like? Strawberry and watermelon? Jeez, crazy. Yeah, so they've improved in both penalty areas, which is obvious. On how opponents view Arsenal, he said, I don't know. We can't... Again, another one, people. DJ Khaled. We got a live one here, people. I'm sorry. These questions are outrageous. On how opponents view Arsenal, like, how does he know? How can he answer that? What does your next door neighbour think of you? Well, I don't know, mate. Ask my next door neighbour. On how the opponents view Arsenal. Unbelievable, these questions. On the importance of the Emirates crowd, he said that's going to be crucial. Tomorrow we expect to have the same support. I mean, again, it's a pretty poor question. He's not going to say, well, you know, I don't really care about the 60,000 fans that turn up. You know, he's obviously going to say, well, we need them, blah, blah, blah. These are terrible. On separating work from family life to help alleviate the pressure. They should have got Piers Morgan to do this interview. This is like, this is your life. How did you grow up? What did you watch on TV? Your favourite cartoon? How do you separate work and family life? These are horrendous questions. They really are. Wakey Wines has gone into liquidate. Oh, has it gone in? Probably not. At £100 a bottle. African Giant, sad days, brother. It's peak. Potter, push out Thomas Tuchel and end in relegation. Listen, I got to go full screen for this. I got to go full screen. I'm saying this once, and I'm saying it loud for the people at the back. Protect Graham Potter at all costs. I'll say it one more time for those surprised by what I'm saying. Protect Graham Potter at all costs. Even Harry Potter can't perform this magic. Graham Potter got 500 million and made it disappear. I mean, that is magic in my opinion. Keep Graham Potter in. Graham, if you're watching this, if anyone from Chelsea's watching this, Graham, we've got your back, bro. We've got your back. The Chelsea fans aren't happy, but we will support you, right? We're going to support you. You've got Havertz up front. I mean, he makes my eyes bleed watching him up front. We got your back, Graham. They might turn on you, Graham. I got you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. It's good work. You've got too many players. What can you do? You've got 474 players. How are you supposed to pick a starting lineup? Graham Potter, keep up the great work, fella. Anyway, let's get back into it. Keep Graham Potter in, people. Keep him in. Do I even read this? Your family, your friends, your loved one. Let's skip it. On sympathising with Graham Potter. Absolutely. There we go. I've got so much sympathy for Graham Potter. What's he supposed to do? You've given him too much money. He's got too much dough. Keep Graham Potter in, man. He deserves 2-3 years at least to turn that around. I'm a massive fan of Graham Potter. The work he's done at Chelsea since going there, incredible. Spent 500 million and they're struggling to get Conference League. That is a magician. Forget Harry Potter. Graham Potter. That's the new one. He should come out with a stick, a wizard stick. Legend. Absolute legend. He said, absolutely, we are colleagues. We all know the pressure and demands, the uncertainty. At the end of the day, the ball has to go into that net. You're right. We're learning things every day. The ball has to go in the net. I wasn't aware of that, to be fair. Sorry. Anyway, let's skip it. It's one of the worst press conferences in the history of Premier League football. On if he ever received the level of abuse Potter has, he said, I prefer not to talk about that. I mean, let's not talk about that. Some of the idiots, the things they're saying to Graham Potter, are just way overboard, man. Way overboard. It's a magic wand, yeah, not a stick. I'm all over the place here. I'm being hypnotised by this terrible press conference. On whether he likes our players challenging each other. He said, I don't want robots. I want players with feelings, with passion, that they demand more from each other and they have the chemistry. And those two, Gabriel and Saliba, certainly have chemistry on and off the field. I love that. Even when winning, they want each other to do better. We know what I prefer not to speak means anyway. You probably got some real... That's going to make the Arteta out shows look mild compared to some of the stuff he might have been getting. On whether he has spoken to Bukayo Saka about not getting decisions, he said we talk in every situation. On whether he tells him to come in from the wide positions. Oh, dear. Do I just... Is this just end the press conference? Do I just end this? Do you ask him to come in from wide positions? I mean, he said there are many solutions. Oh. On Kivia and Smith Rowe playing for the under-21, said they were really good. They needed minutes. They haven't had much exposure. On possibly losing players that aren't getting minutes in the summer, he said, I don't know. I'm not thinking about it. I'm thinking what's best for the team and the players that earn the right minutes to play that they all deserve. We're going to try and do that in the next couple of games. All I can do is apologise for putting you through 5-10 minutes of absolute agony. That is one of the worst press conferences I've ever read in my life. Them questions are on another level. They're asking him about what he drinks and... Anyway, it's over. I apologise. It was a shambles. Big up my boy Fran in the chat. Make sure you go and follow him. Doing great work on his crypto channel. Go and follow him on there. Graham Potter on the 50 cents, fam. He got that... Nah. Yo... Hey, Alberto, relax. But hey, big up yourself for the super chat. That was a big song, by the way. 50 said, I got the magic stick. I know if I could it was. That was a big tune. I think Lil Kim was on that tune. End the stream. Do we just end the whole thing? I apologise. It was a bad one. It was a real bad one. Anyway, let's talk about transfers. I'm going to hype you all up over transfers that we're probably not going to get. But we'll enjoy talking about them anyway. And a player that we're being linked with today. And this is definitely going to be worth a poll, I think. And Chelsea player, former Manchester City player, Raheem the Dream Sterling, being linked with a move to the mighty table-topping Gunners today, people. It's definitely going to be worth a poll. And I'm going to want to know your thoughts and opinions. Graham Bailey said today that Arsenal are monitoring Raheem Sterling as part of their Champions League preparations. Mikel Arteta has enjoyed Jorginho's influence and would like more experience next season to help his young squad. Now, there's been a story going around for a few weeks that Raheem Sterling is not happy at Chelsea. And that he would potentially leave in the summer. He wants to play Champions League football. Saw a report today that Chelsea, I think it was Mason Mount, Conor Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Pulisic, Ziyech, Koulibaly's name was on there as well. A number of players that they may possibly sell in the summer. Let's talk about the pros and cons of Sterling and let me know in the comments. The biggest problem straight away is that he earns £300,000 a week. So to bring him to the club, he's top earner straight away. Now, is that going to put people's noses out of joint? Personally, I don't think it would bother players that much because you got to look at the guy's CV and look at what's in the trophy cabinet. He's won everything domestically. So I don't think Saka could go, oh, well, why is Sterling on more than me? I'd go, well, look at the trophy cabinet. But I'm just not sure. I mean, Sterling's 28 years of age now. Would Arsenal be prepared to commit 300 bags to a guy who's 28, who effectively, the reason he would be leaving Chelsea is because something has gone wrong? In the report, Mikel Arteta apparently is a huge fan of him, and the player and the manager got on very well when he was at Manchester City. Of course, there was always this famous report that Arteta transformed Sterling and Leroy Sané at Manchester City. It's not like they were poor players in the first place. But would you take him? Would you take him? First of all, the story is a bit flimsy. Let's be totally honest. Number one, Chelsea have just given him a 4-year contract, I believe, and paid £45 million for him. Are they going to want to sell him within 12 months of him coming into the club? I would probably rather sign Leroy Sané as well, just because he's a little bit younger. But he's playing a lot of football at the moment for Bayern. In fact, he's not a lot younger. He's 27. He's only 1 year younger. Raheem Sterling. Let's get the poll. Now, the report says, and how true this is, that Chelsea would be looking to recoup their money back, which would be £45 million for Raheem Sterling. I want to know, would you take Raheem Sterling for £45 million? Let's look at the pros and cons, as I was referring to. You're talking about a proven winner. You're talking about a guy that can play left wing, right wing, false nine, and has huge Champions League experience. The negatives are 300 grand a week, 28 years of age. Does he have the same level of hunger? I've got to be honest. I think it's difficult for Arsenal to turn him down. I'm looking at it logically, right? We signed Trossard at 28 for 25 million. Sterling's 20 million more than that, but Sterling, you would say, is 25 million. He's 20 million pounds better than Trossard when you look at what he's produced over the years. So, I mean, I can see a lot of you in the comments saying no. So what's your reason you're saying no? That's what I want to know. What is the reason? I mean, Ram Kumar said he's not motivated. I mean, that's hard to say, though, because Jorginho is 31 and people are raving about Jorginho. No, Curtis, our left side is stacked. It's a fair point. I do think he's better on the left than the right. Sterling is a Prem legend. We've moved past the likes of Sterling. That's interesting. A lot of you don't rate him, which I find strange. I've always kind of felt like Sterling is not very liked. And I don't know why. When you look at what he's produced over the years, I sometimes think he's not viewed for some reason by a lot of people as a top level player, which I've never really understood. I mean, I'm gonna bring up these stats. Why Always Me said biggest problem is his finishing. He had that season 20 and something goals. Only 2 of them were outside the box. All the others were 2-yard tap ins. No, says Why Always Me. I mean, a goal from 25 yards or a goal from 4 yards is still a goal, isn't it? I get your point, but let me just show you his stats. I'm trying to sell this to you here, but you look at them seasons at Manchester City. Even last season, when people were saying he wasn't as good at Manchester City, he got 13 goals and 5 assists. So, I mean, people saying he's already peaked. You look at the first few years at City, 18 goals, then 17 goals, then 20 goals. He's scoring more goals than Gabriel Jesus. I honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm very surprised at the negativity towards potentially bringing him in. I get what people are saying. I don't think, even though he scores a lot of goals, he can be wasteful at times. But Sam, the only question I'm asking, he's saying Sterling's dead food, right? But now people are hyping up Jorginho at 31 years of age. So how can Jorginho at 31, we're going, oh, what a signing he is, look how good he is. But at 28, people are telling me that Sterling's washed when he got 18 goal contributions in 30 games last season. I don't get it. I honestly don't understand that. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm really surprised at how quick people are writing him off. Chelsea is struggling, but everybody's struggling at Chelsea. Jay Black said, Sterling, nah, we need a Saka backup. Martinelli has one. So you'd rather a right winger that's maybe not as high profile, that's just there as a backup player for Saka. He's been playing right wing for Chelsea. Been out of form for 2 years. I mean, that's cap. I'm sorry, Jamie. I appreciate the super chat, but that's cap. Last season, 13 goals, 5 assists. Are we considering that out of form for a winger? If Saka gets 13 goals this year, we'd probably be quite happy with that. J20 is just a stopgap. 35 million, 200 grand a week is where it's at. Happiness comes at that price. Sterling at Arsenal will rebirth like Rashford. Listen, I think he'd do well for us. The 300 grand a week is a lot, but it ain't my money. And he's an experienced winner. He won a Champions League football. There were rumours we were trying to get him last summer, but he won a Champions League. Not for 300k for sure. He is overrated. Looked extraordinary in the City team. Now in Chelsea, he's getting exposed. Oof, it's harsh. It's very harsh. Very harsh. I'd take him. Remember Rashford, anyone? Yeah, remember that. Remember the Rashford? Listen, I'm always open to the discussion. There's a lot of you who are very negative about it. So I'm just trying to see what... I think the general feeling that a lot of you are saying is that you feel that he's past his very best. Maybe his best years were 17, 18, 19, 19, 20, where he was getting 18, 17, 20. Also, there is an argument sometimes that playing in that Pep Guardiola style will exaggerate your numbers because of the high chance creation. You look at a player like who was at Barcelona, for example, who scored a lot of goals? What was the guy? Was it Pedro who played for Barcelona? And Pedro, who played for Barca, was scoring 20 goals a season under Pep. Came to Chelsea, was barely getting 7-8 goals a season. He's not a bad squad option, though. I feel he'd hinder the development of Marquinhos and others. I mean, bro, come on. I get what you're saying, but I'm not particularly bothered about a player hindering Marquinhos. Marquinhos, I'm not looking at as some sort of world beater for the future. I don't mind if Marquinhos gets dashed out the way for somebody even better. I hear what you're saying, but Marquinhos is not that important to Arsenal if we're being really harsh. Albert said experienced winner at 30 mil would be a massive W. I think if you can get him a little bit cheaper, the wage will obviously be an issue. Let me show the stats for this season. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to avoid them, but wow. I was trying to concentrate on the Manchester City stats. The Chelsea stats are stinky. But listen, everybody's struggling at Chelsea. I couldn't pull up one attacking player at Chelsea that's going to produce decent stats at the moment. So yeah, Haroon said Sterling is one of those players who doesn't have a good PR team. Hence why everybody underrates him. He's quality. There's always been this thing with Sterling, like he don't get the ratings. But listen, it is what it is. I think he is joint top scorer. I think he is with 4 goals. But yeah, I haven't been able to win you over. Let's end the poll, people. Let's end the poll. 60% of you say no, you wouldn't want Raheem Sterling. 40% say yes, you would take him. So it seems as if the fan base would not be happy with Raheem the Dream. Maybe it's Raheem the Nightmare for you guys. Apparently, a lot of you saying that Fabrizio has tweeted about man like William Saliba. So let's have a look what Mr. Here We Go is saying. William Saliba. Negotiations continue. Talks ongoing. Deal not at the final stages. I mean, it's the most pointless tweet in the history of Twitter. You're basically giving us news that isn't news for traction. Negotiations continue. I could have told you that. It's the priority after Saka. We knew that. Talks are ongoing. Deal's not at the final stages. It's not even worth sharing the screen for people. It's a tap-in. That's when they call him the Inzaghi of transfers. You know, he's at the back post tapping it in from a yard out off his shin pad and then running away like that. Pippo Inzaghi! Lawrence said Sterling was way more important to City's squad than Gabby. 100-plus Premier League goals. Listen, my opinion, I would take Raheem Sterling. I would. I'd take a chance. But Fabrizio clickbait to blood clot. He's a tapping merchant, man. You know what I mean? Tweeting news that isn't even genuine news. Anyway, let's talk about a former Manchester City player that does play for Arsenal, that we do love. And that is man like Gabriel Jesus. He's coming back, people. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. I want to see that phone call celebration back again. No disrespect to Eddie, man. I feel like when Eddie does the phone call celebration, you know, it's I don't know what phone. I got to be careful what phone I diss here because I don't want to close the door on any future sponsorship deals. So I'm going to avoid the major companies. But it's like having a BlackBerry. Let's go with a BlackBerry. It's a classic phone from back in the day. We know it's never coming back. So if I slander them, I'll get away with it. It's like, you know, he's doing it. He's calling you on the BlackBerry. It was a good phone back in the day. You know, we was pinging and the phone was vibrating. But, you know, Gabriel Jesus got that new iPhone, you know, with the great camera and, you know, or the new Samsung, whatever. He's got the proper phone. This is the real phone call, you know. I feel like Nketiah's in the phone box. You know, I don't know about you. I haven't used a phone box in probably over a decade. But yeah, Gabriel Jesus, he needs to come back and make a difference. And when he does come back, this is interesting. Lawrence says, Big C, do you ever deep what a robbery Jesus was? Do you know what? Somebody messaged me this yesterday and said that basically Arsenal fans have overhyped him, that he's not a very good goal scorer. When I was talking yesterday about the fact that I still think we need a striker, a lot of people were like, well, we got Jesus, Balogun's coming back, but I was saying that, look, the one thing about Gabby, and I've just seen a comment from Fran actually, I've missed it, but he was saying about him scoring goals, and I agree. For as good as Gabriel Jesus is, and this is why I'm saying it's always, sometimes you have to take stats with a pinch of salt. Gabriel Jesus got 5 Premier League goals for Arsenal this season. If you hadn't watched Arsenal this season and you looked at his stats, you would go, 5 goals is not a particularly... When you think Haaland's got 27. Now, I know Haaland's in a bracket all by himself. He's basically a robot. Lawrence saying we robbed them. Apologies, I got it the wrong way round. But what I'm saying is, somebody did say that yesterday, saying that, look, Jesus a great player, but he doesn't score enough goals. That's why Pep never really used him as his out-and-out striker at Manchester City. But listen, I think the way he plays, we can get away with it, but he does need to score more goals. I always said that with Jesus. I love him as a player, but I do want him to improve them numbers. If you're going to become a top striker, you still got to produce numbers. But I do think we need another striker next season. I honestly do. Just as a plan B. Whether Balogun comes back, whether we sign somebody, he definitely needs to improve. I don't think Jesus is a striker, said Vish. I mean, he is a natural striker. I remember they were saying he was one of the best upcoming strikers out of Brazil. Fran said, imagine buzzing over Jesus and not wanting Sterling. He's not happy. He's in the same boat as me, man. We're paddling. And I remember when we spoke about Rashford, the slander was similar. And now look at Rashi, man. Omid said he's elite, Big C. As a Madrid fan, I love him as a player. It's sad that people judge players by stats because he makes others better around him. In terms of Jesus, is Jesus becoming more that false 9 now? I think 15 goals is his highest contribution at Manchester City. I think he would have got 15 goals for Arsenal this season if it wasn't for the injury. You know, he was injured in December. It's March tomorrow. He's still not back. So he's missed. I know the World Cup was in December, but he's missed January and February. I think he would have hit about 15 goals for us. So, yeah, I think that's where he's at the moment. I don't think he's a 20-goal striker a season. He's got 5 assists this season already. So I think you'd been looking at 15 goals and 10 assists, which is still a very good return for a striker who's not necessarily an out-and-out goal scorer. Jesus is our saviour, says Pat. We need him. Let's hope he is our saviour. Elliot said, facts, Fran, Ari, Sterling, Jesus, Raheem and Balogun up front. Wow, I mean, where's Saka, bro? Where's Martinelli? You can't bench them. But we definitely would have a lot of players to choose from. Jesus at his lowest plays better than Saka's last one, says Johnny. That's interesting. 15 goals, he would be clear. Accept Jesus in your hearts and find the promised land. Alexander said Jesus' quality, his impact on the team shouldn't be underestimated. Not sold on Sterling for us. We already have Trossard and Martinelli. Would prefer a younger player for Saka backup. I hear you on that. In terms of maybe wanting a younger player. Let me read the story. Arsenal are hopeful of having Gabriel Jesus back in the squad before the international break. It is possible the club could also use the under-21 fixtures to bolster his fitness ahead of a reintroduction to the first team scene. So, just to give you a scale of the dates. Now, there is an international break at the end of March. Our last game in March is on the 19th of March at home against Crystal Palace. Just before that, we play the return leg against Sporting Lisbon on the 16th. This report says that Arsenal hope to have him back for a couple of games before the international break. So maybe we get him back for that home leg against Sporting Lisbon on the 16th. He's doing well in training, he's progressing, and should be available in the next couple of weeks. According to this report, he will play an under-21 game. So we need him back. We need him back, that is for sure. Is he the out-and-out goal scorer? No. He could be Arsenal's Firmino. Firmino had seasons he was getting 11, 12 goals and people were saying he's one of the best false nines in the world. He was fortunate that he had 2 wingers in Salah and Mane that were getting the numbers in terms of goals. So if we can get more goals out of Saka, more out of Martinelli, more out of Jesus, Odegaard chips in, the goals I think will be more spread amongst Arsenal. Let's face it, we've had seasons where Aubameyang's won the Golden Boot. Van Persie scored 20 plus goals. Sanchez has scored 20 plus goals. And we haven't even made top 4 some of them seasons. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love us to have a striker that has the all-round game of Jesus and can still score 20 goals. But ultimately, you can still be successful without having one goal scorer that gets crazy numbers. Man City won the league last year with no striker and didn't win the Golden Boot. Anybody who played for them last year. So, looking at it, he should be back at least for the Palace game on the 19th. Maybe on the 16th for the game against Sporting Lisbon. It's March the 1st tomorrow. So, I think over these next 2 weeks, you will see him reintegrated into full training and then probably playing 1 or 2 games for the under-21s. Get that match fitness. He hasn't played since the 3rd of December. And then we get him in. Just want to give one bit of credit. Edu, a player that I constantly, I have a go at Edu. Apparently Edu got him sent back to England quickly as he was going to stay at the World Cup and receive treatment at the World Cup with the Brazil squad. Edu stepped in and said, listen, get him back to England straight away so that he can have the operation because we know that he's going to be out for a few months. So at least Edu finally put his Brazilian connections to good use. I told you he was a glorified travel agent. He booked him a nice flight from Qatar back to London and got the operation done quickly. So Edu finally is putting his reputation and his connections to good use. He's the man. If you're going on holiday this year, people, Ibiza, Iron Apple, Dubai, Jamaica, America, give Edu a call. He'll get you a cheap flight. If you want a new striker and a new right back or centre midfielder, that's a different question. The goal for Arsenal for the rest of the season is to win the Europa League, go to the Prem Trophy or top four, spend big in the summer. We were speaking about this yesterday on the show, and obviously on Talk is Cheap with Laurie yesterday. We were discussing the Europa League. And I think Arsenal need to treat this competition with real importance. One thing I don't like about Arsenal sometimes is we throw trophies away. I understand sometimes that you have to prioritise things when you're in a unique situation. We can win the Premier League, so ultimately you may let some trophies go sometimes. But this Europa League is very important because if we don't get that Premier League title, the Europa League needs to be won, in my opinion. What would be very disappointing is to not win anything. Let me respond to this. Why the disrespect for Edu? I don't get it. The man is delivering. Well, let's put it this way. Edu's made some good signings, but he's had some absolute howlers as well, right? Willian, Runarsson, Pablo Mari, Cedric Suarez. These were deals that he was all involved in. He was here when we didn't sign anybody last January. He was high-fiving when Aubameyang was given away, acting like that was some sort of, brilliant work for giving away an important player and not replacing him. He also didn't get any of Mikel Arteta's prime targets in January. Let's keep it 100. He wanted Caicedo, João Felix and Mudryk. So, is he delivering, or I'm not sure he's arrived yet? You know, like when you order food on Uber Eats, like it's on its way, but I don't think it's arrived at the destination yet. He also flew to Poland, apparently, when Shakhtar were in Turkey. So you explain how that worked. Yeah, you explain how Bruno Gomes doesn't come to Arsenal when he was desperate to come to Arsenal. And he's Brazilian. So for me, yeah, the flight's been delayed, bro. The flight's been delayed. You're going to be late. So he's done some good things, but he's certainly messed some things up as well. And like you said, when the deals get to that, okay, it's serious, he struggles. I'm afraid he struggles. So yeah, he is. And I know that, Roman, he's learning on the job. And you're right, Rick. Look at the players when he sold them. The fees that he's getting for people. 9 million for Guendouzi, French international centre midfielder. Can't sell Pepe, has to loan him. Can't sell Aubameyang, yet 6 months later Barca sell him for 12 million. So there are plenty of question marks. I know he's learning on the job. I know he might be improving, but still, if you want to be top level, everything has to be moving at a top level. The manager, the player, the sporting director, the owner. Getting those prime targets requires the kind of money that the owners were not prepared to sanction, my guy. Let's be fair. But we bid 70 million, won it, for Caicedo. You know what I mean? The money, there was money there. There was big money there. Clearly, if they bid 70 million, they couldn't convince. We didn't want to mess up our friendship with Brighton. You know, look at Chelsea, actually. I know we're laughing at Chelsea at the moment in the league, and obviously we will. It's footballing banter, right? But their owner flew to Turkey, spent the whole day with Shakhtar's owner, and did the deal. He said on TV they spent 10 hours together for that deal to get done. Looking at that, you're like, yo, you're serious about this. I don't. Have we ever heard Edu do things like that? Some of them, yeah, he does deserve credit, but not wanting to mess up your friendship with Brighton. I'm sorry, that's not what I want to be hearing. Bun Brighton, mess up the friendship, take their best players. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Fitz said any of the good signings Edu did, a chimp could have done. Jesus, Partey, Zinchenko, all easy. I mean, listen, Partey, release clause. You could have done it. Put the 45 million in their account. Light work. Right? Jesus, Zinchenko, okay. No, naturally, you would have had to do a little bit of convincing. But he knew Gabriel Jesus from the Brazil squad. It wasn't difficult for him. Zinchenko, it seemed like we had a pretty free hit at Zinchenko. So I want to see him do difficult deals where we've snatched players off clubs and things like that. Alex said the deals he made are fine, but I think he could do better with the big signings. A man doesn't know how to sell. Top of the league anyways. Come on, you gonna. Yeah, listen. We don't want it to make a huge debate. He can definitely improve massively. The selling players, he's way off. And the top level signings, he's still struggling. They're two things he's got to show that he can do, you know. And yeah, we're top of the league. So listen, there's reason for optimism, of course. Quickly, let's pick our team for tomorrow before I start rounding up. Now, from the sounds of it, he could be trying to just throw Sean Dyche off here, by the way. But Arteta didn't sound overly optimistic in that press conference about Thomas Partey starting tomorrow's game. So potentially there could be it could be that he's not going to play tomorrow. OGD said Arteta signs Zinchenko, not Edu. He did speak about Arteta speaking to him personally. Southern Gooner, big up yourself, bro. Under Edu, we've had more players run down contracts and get paid to leave. You're spot on. We paid Aubameyang. We paid Ozil. You know, we're paying players to leave. We can't even sell them. So, still big question marks. Let's pick our team for tomorrow. Or what team we think Arteta's going to pick. I think he'll pick the exact same team that played against Leicester. To be honest. When I think about it, I can't see him changing the team. The only way he changes the team is if Thomas Partey is fit and he's just saying that to do mind games with Sean Dyche. I can't see the team changing. I don't see how and why he would change it unless Partey is fit, and it doesn't sound overly optimistic about him being fully fit. But like I said, maybe he's doing that just to put Sean Dyche off a little bit. And I tell you one thing. Everton have that physicality in midfield that we're going to have to deal with. Even though they're out of form, I think he'll pick the same team. I think he maybe will rest Partey till the weekend. I'd like Partey to play, of course. Would you guys make any changes? Anthony says 4-3-3. And the team you've picked on screen there is the team that I would pick. If Thomas Partey is fit tomorrow, and we had this discussion yesterday, I would play Thomas Partey next to Jorginho. And I would take Granit Xhaka out the team. Now, I know that the question that some people were throwing back was, who plays in the 8 role with these two out of the team? I don't think you necessarily have to push any of them into that attacking midfield role as such. I think what you do, you give them both license. Thomas Partey's shooting has improved this season from when he was hitting pigeons on the roof. Scored a couple of crackers this year, one against Tottenham. I think he scored one against Forest. Jorginho proved the other day that he can shoot as well against Villa. So I think you play with those two. You say, listen, if we're attacking, one of you can go and join in. But, you know, one of you sits back and keeps that discipline. Odegaard's had a couple of shaky games. I got to be honest. I'm almost at the point that I really want to give Fabio Vieira a chance, but I just don't know if this is the chance to do it. Because let's not hide from the fact we got beat up at Goodison Park. Onana, Decore, Idrissa, they were like the year 11s taking the year 7s lunch money off them. It was not pretty, people. It really wasn't pretty. So, and Odegaard's not the strongest, but Fabio Vieira, I just don't know if it's the right... Maybe you could play Vieira against Bournemouth on Saturday, if I'm being honest. Will be an easier game, I would say. Saka on the right. Now, for me, the one change I will make, and let me know if you agree with this, I would swap Trossard and Martinelli's position. Now, I know a lot of people liked the role that he played in that sort of false 9 role, Trossard. First of all, I would give them the freedom to change because you saw in the first half, Trossard was up front. Second half, Martinelli scored the goal through the middle. So they were changing, which I don't mind. Manchester City used to do it a lot. The front three all change. Wherever you are on the pitch, we move. Saka's the only one who seems to really hug that touchline. I just think Martinelli up front. I know some people question, can he play with his back to goal? but I think he can play off instinct when he plays up front. And I think you saw that with his finish. Use your pace, get in behind and just finish. On the wing sometimes, it's a thinking position. So that is how I would start the game, with Trossard and Martinelli having the options of changing and interchanging depending on how the game's going. A few weeks ago when we played them, Seamus Coleman was at right back, and I said Martinelli needs to rip him apart, and he actually didn't really trouble him. I think Trossard would potentially cause him more problems with that close ball control. He can shoot from distance, as we saw with his goal that was disallowed. He can play those little passes, a very clever player. So that is how I would set up in terms of starting 11. Zach said Martinelli as a striker could be special. I definitely want to see him up front. I believe he can become a quality striker. IQ Insane said, so underrated channel. Hey, appreciate it, man. Anyone who hasn't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, people. We're about 500 and some change away from 60k. Let's get to that 60k this week if we can. No Sherman Clump. Listen, let's jam. Let's put Eddie on the bench. There's better options there now. You got Eddie on the bench. You got Smith Rowe, who hopefully can start playing now. You got Kivior. You've got... Xhaka would be on the bench if this was the starting 11. Obviously, if Thomas Partey's not fully fit, then Xhaka will play ahead of him in the midfield. Road to 60k. Calvert-Lewin apparently is out injured. I don't know if... I'm assuming that they will have done their press conference. Sean Dyche. So let's have a look. Calvert-Lewin... Sean Dyche said there is no timescale on the return of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he's expected to miss the game against Arsenal tomorrow. So it looks as if Calvert-Lewin is out. And let me tell you, that makes a big difference. He caused us problems in that game away from home because he's very good in the air. They're obviously going to have Neil Maupay up front, who is the enemy of Arsenal. Arsenal fans can't stand him. Especially with what happened with Leno and all of that stuff with Zinchenko. So he's going to be trying to wind people up, that is for sure. How do I become a member? Press the join button, bro. Should be next to subscribe. If you're on an iPhone, you may have to do it on a computer. For some reason, iPhones struggle. Tierney for Zinchenko. He does deserve a game. I'm kind of more going off what Arteta will pick, in my opinion. I don't think he will do that against Everton. Maybe, again, you get Tierney in at the weekend against Bournemouth. I think he'll probably not even play that game. I think he'll play against Sporting Lisbon next week. Fran's trying to get me to give away a PS5. Because Fran gave away a PS5 at 1k. I told him that was way too much too soon. He needs to start giving away crypto now. You know what I mean? No, don't worry about your crypto channel. Give away some crypto. Alberto said, Big C, when Aubameyang was here... firing, he never had his back to goal. Martinelli can play the 9. Listen, there are some strikers, they live on the shoulder. They live on the shoulder. Many times, Michael Owen, was he amazing with his back to goal? Not really. He lived on the shoulder. Play the through ball. Get him on the half turn. Couldn't live with him. And I think Martinelli can play up front. I honestly do. I'd like to see it. That goal that he scored on Saturday was a striker's goal. The run... the pass, the instinctive finish, less time to think. Same thing used to happen with Walcott. The less time he had, the better player he was. You give him time to think, he confuse himself, get in his own brain, you know. I've been threatening to give away a PS5 since 900 subs. We'll get there. Don't go anywhere. We'll get there. We'll give one away eventually. If Maupay scores against us, end the stream. Yeah, man. Listen, my prediction for tomorrow... I was going to say 3... I think if we score early, we can beat them 3-0. But I'm going to be calm and say 2-0. If we score in the first 20 minutes, I think we can beat them 3-0. But I'm just going to stay calm and say professional 2-0. Job done. See you on Saturday. And I would take that all day long, by the way. The result is more important than the performance. Get the job done. Get 5 points clear of Manchester City. Put the pressure on them. We play Bournemouth on Saturday, 3 p.m. They play Newcastle on Saturday, 12:45. Can Newcastle do something? They've had a rough week, lost the cup final, and they need to respond because Newcastle's season feels like it's disappearing from them. 3-1 says Jake. I'd like to keep a clean sheet, man. No Calvert-Lewin as well. 2-0, 1-0, 5-1 you're going for. It's about time we batter someone. Curtis trying to dodge the P5 like Jake Paul and them. Yo, man. More dangerous on the shoulder. It's meant to be a fortress. I hear you, and part of me wants to say 4 or 5-0. I'm gonna go big with the prediction against Bournemouth. I'm expecting 4-5-0 against Bournemouth. You know. So anyway, people, tomorrow we'll be live for the watch along. The game starts tomorrow at 7:45, so I'll be live from about 7 o'clock tomorrow. Make sure you join in for the watch along. Thank you very much for tuning in. Great comments as always. Smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Enjoy the rest of your day, people, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bless.